Okay, can people hear me? Am I getting audio? Okay. Uh, you know, uh, you'd think that I did no preparation, but literally, this is just for the reals. I did a couple hours worth of preparation Friday night and then Saturday night, and so just to bring everybody to an update, we'll go over. Okay, so we'll keep going until everybody wants to stop talking, right? For an hour and a half, right? But first of all, what's happening? Okay. First of all, welcome back. Bronze Dragon here with the weekly Atlas Earth live stream. But the reason why we had technical difficulties is because I wanted to upgrade things, right? Um, my plan was, since I have a number of members on the channel now, thank you, all the members of the channel who are supporting me. I thought, well, hey, I've been doing live streams for the same way for years now. Let's try to slap a fresh coat of paint on it and make it look better. So I started using this new service. Well, it's not a new service, it's a new service to me, but it has a monthly charge. I can do nice things like throw up people's comments on here, like My Financial Journey says, good morning. Um, I just wanted to do those kind of things. And I did a stream yesterday and everything worked out fine. But I don't know when I launched it today, it went into this loop of trying to create and launch a secondary live stream instead of the one I had scheduled, right? And I got in this eternal loop and I just had to shut everything down, delete everything, recreate everything. And I don't know why it's taken this much to sync, but let's cross our fingers. Let's get on. uh, Yes, I am sorry if if you're averse to swear words. Once in a while, one slips out, and I was in a very intense situation here for the last half hour trying to fix these things. And yes, I'm an old sailor, so trust me, I've gotten a lot better over the years. So let me take a drink, and we'll jump right into chat. But once again, sorry for that. But thanks for everybody sticking with me. I appreciate it. Let's try to get some good Atlas Earth discussion going on here. Yes, Donnie S is here from the Netherlands, I believe, where it's a little bit later in the day over there. Thanks for dropping by, Donnie, and sticking through everything, because Donnie was like the first one on the stream. And then I launched a second stream, and then somebody else, Lady Sharon, was on the second stream. She's like, hey, this doesn't look right. And I'm like, yeah, I know it doesn't look right. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Um, Hendrik is here. I'm not going to try to butcher your last name, but thanks for dropping by, Hendrik. Scott Kovac is here. My Financial Journey is here. Lady Sharon, of course. Love it when Lady Sharon stops by. Always has plenty of questions and good discussion topics. She says, oops, you started. I got to get used to this. I have to click on the comment for it to come up on screen, but that's one of the things I've been wanting to do. And I finally figured out how to do it as long as I can reliably launch my live streams. Frosty Frisbee is here from South Africa. Welcome, Frosty. Thanks for dropping by. So, okay. So on Atlas Earth. Okay. So as far as my ladder, just to try to get discussion going and away from my foibles, trying to work this out and, breathe a little bit more. My challenge ladder for September's gotten started a little bit slower because of the way everything has been, the organization of the challenges this month. I'm about halfway through, but the majority of my challenges are just clogged up with mini games. Okay. Now, I do have one for SRB that's sitting there. Of course, we got 4 or 5 days till SRB. I got a book travel, which I'm not going to do, which I don't do. That just like eternally takes up a spot. I do have an amp mission sitting there, but since I have very little to choose from amp mission wise around here anymore, that'll be sitting there for a while, maybe until next week, until I want to use the restaurant again. And I've got the third level of virtual rent to Atlas Bucks, which I've decided I'm only going to do the first two level, which is $1 and then $2, and I'm going to draw it off on that. So I'm looking forward to golf, to clearing this on golf. I also noticed this time around they didn't double stack, so you can't do like I was not able to do like level one and then level two of the same game on the same night. So you have to wait, and that kind of spreads the games over. I see if their point was spreading the games over the whole month more than letting people just knock them out in a couple times. But that's where I'm standing right now. And let's go back to challenges. I'm a little bit better than halfway, or I'm about halfway through. So that's where I'm standing. I do like the new LPU. It's a green Jeep. I do not have a Jeep, but I do have a dark green Bronco. So that kind of suits me. DJ Dubstomp says, StreamYard. I am using EV I'm doing a 1 month trial of EV Mux. I paid for a month to see if I like it, because if I like it and it works better, I mean, it works okay for me, it's a good deal cheaper than StreamYard. But yes, I did consider StreamYard, and it's still in the going. I just want to see if I can get away uh, with it a little bit cheaper, because I don't make a huge amount of money off this channel. So, okay, so preview this says, what is the best way to find to save up for badges, and any good strategy you have um, to save till the next SRB? Your thoughts, as I need to save a lot for badges. Well, it really just comes down to doing more. Doing more of everything that you have. That everybody plays a little bit different, and everybody has strengths and weaknesses. For instance, some people like to play the mini games. That might be their strength. And you can go heavy into mini games. Some people are pretty good at uh, I'm drawing a mind blank here. Um, let me pull this off. Some people are good at doing the surveys. Why could I not remember the word survey? I've got to do my ad. It just really comes down to doing more and participating more to earn more Atlas bucks. Really, you can watch your usual ads. You can do more surveys, do more mini games. That's what it really comes down to. Just more arcade things like that. Do your arcade and your surveys on the days that there are boosts available. It helps out a little bit, but every little bit adds up, right? So I'm doing my ad right now. So hey, it's Sherry's in the house. Welcome, Sherry. Thanks for dropping by. Lady Sharon says, as I was saying on your other stream, stuff happens. I somehow started a Splinterland Twitch stream yesterday and still had the game of Stardew Valley. Well, I think I just got into the situation of um, I've used OBS Studio for years, and I frankly haven't changed it up a lot. I kind of fall in that camp where I'm risk adverse, or I'm change adverse, right? Uh, I fall into the camp that if it's not broken, don't fix it. But at the same time, I've wanted to kind of upgrade the streams a little bit and do something a little bit different. So I guess you can't move ahead if you don't take risks, right? Um, Donnie S says, this week I was at my house, but my Atlas Earth was traveling like a ghostwriter. So I bought a badge of a city 4 miles away from my house. Yeah, that all comes down to networking and your connection to the cell tower, most likely. So, um, sometimes I'll open up and then, it'll, your circle will do the reposition thing. It'll jump around a few times before it gets your accurate position. And I always, whenever I open it up, I try to be ready to capture a diamond because there's a few diamond spots that occur outside of my usual circle hit sitting here in my office, right? And so if I open it up and I can grab a diamond really fast. Noel Dory agrees with me. Say, yeah, too many mini games clogging slots. Well, I think they're playing around with it. Maybe their goal is to stretch the ladder competition out more during the month. They see a lot of people jump on the Reddit and say, "Hey, I'm 2 days in. They're done with the ladder already. They want to stretch it out a little bit." I can see they're playing around with it. They're looking on the numbers on the back end, but I'm just reporting right up front. I don't like the fact I rely heavily on buying parcels, the purchase parcel, and they have buried the purchase parcels this month. I got my first level, but I'm several days. What is it? 7 days into the month, and I still haven't been able to get my second level of purchase parcel, which I plan my whole month around because I need to get. I bought 5 parcels. You only need one for that first level, right? But I bought 5 parcels and I need to buy 45 more parcels for my monthly plan here, which I try to get done before the first SRB, obviously, so you can have more parcels for the SRB. But it looks like they've really buried the purchase parcels on me. Let's see here. Let's go back to chat. Lady Sharon says, I also mentioned that the letter is not really in sync with the mini games. I think Annalise answered me on that. The one was set before the other anyway. I know it was work in progress. Yeah, sometimes these things don't sync up, they get changed. B5V's in the house. Welcome. Says, finally made it to a live after watching the replays videos for a few months since day one. Thank you for all that you do. Well, thanks for watching as always. And yeah, we're starting a little bit late because tough technical difficulties, upgraded to a different streaming situation. And hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes well from here on out. Noel Dory says, any news on more AMP participants? I'd use them, but there's just junk at the moment. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call them junk, but no news, right? That's the basic answer. They've been telling us that there'll be more, but over the last few months, we haven't seen any. In fact, about 3 or 4 months ago, I lost some off of mine, right? In fact, the 2 primary ones I used a lot, I lost. So that's why I'm down to like a sandwich shop, which is a good sandwich shop, but you can only use it. We use it once a week, and then I can't use it more than once a week. And then the auto parts store, right? I do probably need to go get a cabin air filter for my wife's car, but that would require me going out and doing work, right? So I need to do that after here. I told her I would do it, but yeah, there's only so much you can use the auto parts store as well. So yeah, we're all looking forward to the upgrade in the amp. It's just been one of those things. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and it's been months, right? So hopefully one of these days. Donnie S says, I am 13-15 on the ladder. That's interesting. I don't really check my ladder spot. I think I'm in the top 50 for Pennsylvania because I live in Pennsylvania, but I don't really check on my ladder spot. Doesn't I guess it's another number to look at, but it doesn't really. I'm not a big time competitor on that matter. I just try. My whole thing is making steady progress on a month to month basis and planning it out. Like my plan for this month is to come up to 1,500 parcels, which will be the top of the 3 times multiplier. And at that time, I'm stopping and I'm saving up for that tier jump into 2 times tier. Now, while it's not necessarily a tier, it is a jump to the break even point, which is going to be about 240 parcels. so it's going to take me a while to save up. So I was hoping for a good, strong performance this month on the ladder, complete the ladder, but also be able to get those points for buy parcels. But last month I ended up playing a lot more mini games than I usually do. Of course, that's probably their point. They're trying to increase the pots from it requires more ad watching, right? So I don't mind golf. Golf is one of the ones that I don't really necessarily mind. I wouldn't say I'm great at it, and I also wouldn't say I would use 2 hours to sit there and play it all. But it's golf and bowling I don't necessarily mind. Nickel Rogue's here. Nickel Rogue says my ads have not been loading in for the Atlas Bucks. Any tips? Anytime, and this is from an IT guy. Anytime I run into problems with anything on my phone or computer, for that matter, because guess what? During this last technical difficulties, guess what I did? I did a full reboot of my computer. I would do a full power down of your phone, and which most people don't do that often. I try to do it once a week, and then power it back up and launch the app and see if that does. Because while I'm not an expert on these, a lot of these loading the ads rely upon, to a certain extent, some kind of network connection in the background. And if that network connection is not getting connected, one of the ways to force it to reconnect is rebooting your computer, or your phone in this case. Which, your phone's just a small computer, right? People get tired of me as an IT guy saying that over the years. And it's like, why I tell people to reboot their stuff? Because about 75% of the time, it fixes the issue. When you reboot your computer, it forces to get new connections once it boots up, whether that be to the network or whatever else we're talking about. Maybe in this case the ad service and such. Then maybe that might resolve it. So the first thing I would do is do a reboot. If that doesn't resolve it, you may put in a ticket. Scott Kovac with a vote for StreamYards. Yeah, I saw that it got very good reviews. But they also just not that this is like I guess from me having problems today, this has become part of the topic was streaming, right? So very good service. They also just upped their price, and it's pretty expensive. So I think on this side, I think the problem is with the problem exists between monitor and chair, right? Or like in IT, we used to say, the person is the problem. It's probably this learning curve that I have to get used to. In other words, I'm just doing a month. I'll probably do a month. Next month, I might try StreamYards and see how that goes. But once again, the value seeker in me always tries to save a buck. Annalise responded to Nickel Rogue, said, please reach out to support for that. Some players are having issues with ads, and we need to log the bugs. Yeah, like I said, it could be a bug. It could be a problem. There's several things going on in the background. Like I said, I'm not on the team or anything, but this game has to connect to an ad server in the background. And there are several different network connections in that. And for some reason, if there's a problem with one of those connections or one of those routes, then there's going to be a problem with your ads loading. But like I said, I default to a good solid reboot with any problem like that, just to get it out of the way and try that. Because like I said, a lot of times it resolves it. Donnie S says, I was a third at Atlas Golf today, my first podium. Nice, pretty sweet. G Foster 22's in the house. Welcome. Says, I'm at about 103 parcels, 11 badges. I was messing with numbers in the calculator and noticed I would lose 30 cents a day with about $8 a month the second I reach 151. Should I have 4 months to skip drop? Okay. So, Yeah. So, what we're talking about here is the whole topic you may have loosely heard talked about called tier jumping. Okay. So, one of the things that a lot of people that are playing don't understand unless they get in on like a stream like this or watch some of my videos. Um, is that the whole way the game is laid out? Let's go to the chart. And depending upon, I'm assuming you're in the States because you mentioned 150, and 150 is at the top of our first tier. Okay. After you leave, once you step over that 150 or whatever country you're in, the argument's the same, right? It's just we're working with different numbers depending upon what country you're in. That's why I always say, come to this page. It's the Atlas Earth, Atlas Reality Incorporated support. It's also on one of, there's also a direct link off of one of the pages, question marks. No, that's not it. But I always say, take a picture of this, right? Because you can refer to this. Now, the whole idea is that after you step over 150, you're going from a 30 times multiplier down to a 20 times multiplier. Okay. And you're losing money, right? Some people say, oh, it's just cents. It's just cents. It adds up, especially if you stay in that losing money category for a long time. So from 151 to about 200, two 205, something like that. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. Your rent has gone down versus just staying at 151 or 150 with a 30 times multiplier. Now, as you gain more land, then what you're earning is steadily going up until what we call a break even point. And that break even point is going to be a little bit different for everybody, but it's going to be about 210, something like that, right? And at that point, you are earning as much as you were at 150. And then everything on top of that from 210 to like 205, 210, something there in there to 220, you're just progressively making a little bit more, right? Okay, so there's where the idea of tier jumping is. And what that means is stopping at 150 and saving up until you can make that full jump to like 210, at least. Some people do the full jump to 220. And then you can not be in the losing money category. Okay. So that's what tier jumping is all about. Okay. And if you look at the Atlas Earth calculator, that's kind of reversed there. You can go to this little link here about midway down the page and click on show the break even chart. And you can see that at 150, get my phone out of the way, your break even is going to be about 210, like I said. So, and everybody's slightly different, but the whole idea would be to jump from 150 to 210 just in one solid jump. It takes a while to save up, but you don't end up being in that losing money category. Okay. Styling.net. Hey, you were on the stream yesterday. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for checking out the show. I came back home early trying to find my laptop, and I haven't used it in a long time. So it's taken me a minute to find it. But on the way there, I was collecting badges, and I went from 12 to 50. Nice. That's a lot of badges. That's also a lot of Atlas bucks. It's nice, though. But then he or she goes on, says, but I ran out of Atlas bucks, so I didn't get as much as I could. Frosty Frisbee says, what upcoming feature are you looking forward to most and why? Well, I think we've talked about this for like months and months. I mean, I feel like just being real here, the beginning of the year was good and solid. The first couple of months, Atlas Earth made a lot of progress. But ever since like February, March, it's like all we've been doing is talking about what they said is in the works. And I know you and Annalise are in a tough situation. That's what you can talk about. But just being real, they've went a lot of months and just talked. That's all we've heard, right? I understand. I know I'm bringing a little bit of salt, but there's been months and months and months, and we've just heard about changes. So I'd be happy if anything, any of these changes we have been talking about, I would be happy if it went live at this point. What am I looking most forward to? The AMP program, seeing more available in my area on the AMP program. That's what I'm looking forward to most. Um, but we've talked about a number of the other programs, the other upgrades. They're working on the new UI overhaul. They're working on the mini games overhaul. They're working on auctions and um, landmarks and a few other things. And I understand they're all being worked on, but I'd be happy if just one of them went live, right? And shown some steady progress. Obviously, I would be happy if I saw some other countries go live in the AMP program, because that's a frequent topic of discussion as well. So Donnie says, I need 3 more badges for the 15% boost. That will be there before the next SRB. Nice. Yeah. If you only have 3 more badges for your 15%, push through. Grab those badges. Lady Sharon says, I am planning of buying a badge today at my friend's house, so that should pop up something else on the ladder. Yeah, I have a buy badge challenge up. I just don't have any badges around me. I think the closest badge really is about a 40-minute drive. And so I'm at the point where I did just jump to the 20%. I did just make my 20%. So I'm not really concentrating on that. I would like to clear it out, just to get it off the challenge, because I'm trying to look forward to getting those more purchase parcels to pop up so I can clear those off as well and get my parcels purchased. That's a alliteration, parcel purchasing. Um, Sharon says she did one arcade and the second arcade hasn't shown up. I did the first 2 levels of arcade games. And frankly, I have 2 games that are positioned pretty good that if the next one pops, then I can go in and do a few levels and clear that third one off as well. Donnie said, then we'll get $4.50 at the 32-hour boost. Yeah, that's a good point. For those that are new to the game, what happens during the game, this kind of goes in, is something we talk about a lot, but this goes hand in hand with the early talk about the tiers and tier jumping. The higher you go, the more parcels you buy in the game, and your actual manual boost, that boost that you get from your boost ladder, keeps going down, right? But uh, the importance of the SRB comes up, and that's the real reason behind why you don't just want to sit at 150. You want to just keep buying parcels, but have a plan to purchase those, whatever plan you want to stick with, right? As you move ahead in the game, your manual boost goes down, but what you get on the SRB goes way up. Okay, so as you play along in the game, like I'm almost at 1500 here. Um, I'm at the position where I get the majority of my money off of the SRB versus my manual boost. Now, do I keep watching ads? Yeah, I stay boosted, because my theory is, hey, 3 times or 2 times is better than 1 times, right? But the majority of my money on a monthly basis is coming from the SRB. So that's how the game transitions over time. Hey, Arbin's in the house. Welcome, Arbin. Arbin always brings a uplifting comment and attitude to the chat. Always appreciate that, Arbin. Nickel Rogue says, fishing is my favorite mini game. I don't mind fishing, but I think I'm better at golf and bowling. Although I wouldn't say I'm a really great minigame player. Crypto Limbo's in the house. Says, hey, Dragon, being an old guy like me, with the influx of hot Swedish babies to the game, should I tell my wife? Oh, you mean Sweden getting ready to go live? I don't know. Uh, Oh, I don't know, and I don't know how popular this game is with women. It would be nice to. It would be interesting to see a level of how popular the game is with men versus women. I know on my channel only about out of all the people that watch my channel, only about 4% of those are women. So I'm a heavily male interest channel, I guess you would say. Um, Lady Sharon says, "Darn it, just now lost the mayorship I took a couple weeks ago. I knew that was coming. I did get some badge revenue, though. Well, you should have padded it a little bit more. If you take a mayorship, don't just take it. Make sure that you pad it well enough so that somebody can't come back and get it, especially if it's yielding Atlas bucks as far as profit from people buying badges. You want to keep it because there's a lot of them out there that you can go buy and you can get mayorships for small amounts for Atlas of parcels, right? But they just don't yield much of anything, especially like if they're out in the country or something like that. But the ones that do yield, like my current one, like around my house, it yields on a weekly basis. People buy badges around here. I'm in a heavy traffic area, people driving through, right? So I want to keep it. So that's why, I'm almost at 700 parcels to keep this one. But luckily, the person that did appear to buy a pack of Atlas bucks to kind of sneak up on me has kind of slowed down. But um, most of my parcels are trying to keep the two areas that um, yield badge sales. And I'm working on my fifth, but that's a slow comer. Like I said, that'll have to wait for whenever I do that, save up my Atlas bucks for uh, that jump into the 2 times tier. And then after I get that jump done, I don't have to worry about any tier jumping anymore. I can just buy parcels whenever I want to. I'm looking forward to that. Brandon's here, says I'm showing up. Sorry I'm late. No problem, Brandon. Hey, check this out. This is like off your question the other day. This is something I'd been wanting to do on the show for a long time, is be able to feature comments and pop them up. I can do that now as long as I can get the show started on time next time. I'm using a new service, so still getting used to it. But I brought that up because Brandon had brought that up the other day. Steve says, I've had to restart my phone multiple times in a day to get the ads to work. That's interesting. Now, is that in an area that has a bad cell connection or something? I don't know. And is it an older phone? I don't know. There's lots of variables there, right? Annalise says you can find your boost chart by clicking the little yellow boost button, and there is a little blue link. Yeah, I know it was there somewhere. I always just I've taken a picture on it. So, oh yeah, it is so tiny. They could not have made that link any smaller if they tried. Look at that. There's that link. Look at that. They couldn't have made that any smaller, but it's handy to have there. So when you click on that, that opens up the web page I was just telling you about. They were like, what's the smallest font we could possibly use and still be visible? It's built in to make them money back, right? So I mean, the game was designed well. It's Some people in the past on my videos said, "Oh, it's a cheat." It's not a cheat. It was designed that way because it was designed for people when they go into that area. They go over certain tiers. Then the game actually starts making money back, or in other words, money that they don't have to pay you, right? But we as players can look at the numbers and make rational decisions on how to strategically play. Everybody plays different though. So Brandon says, looks like you're finally showing comments on screen. Yep. Like I was just saying. Pretty good upgrade. I like it. And hopefully I'll keep working with this and get better at it. Steve says, thoughts on upgrading parcels to legendary rather than continuing to tier jump. I'm at 100 parcels with 15% boost in the UK. I'm against it. I'm not against doing parcel upgrades, but the whole idea of staying at like the top of one of your tiers, if you're in the UK, whoops, wrong page. So say for instance, like you said, you're at the 100, which is the top of the 15 times multiplier. It would still behoove you to keep working for your 2 times tier because the money you're going to pay. So let's just say 2,500 is 25 parcels. The money you're going to pay for the legendary parcel upgrades is going to move you so far ahead that you could just be down here in the 2 times multiplier and get raking in that really good money on off of your SRB, right? Now, there are the main situation I can think of that I would say that the legendary parcel upgrades would be a good choice would be um, if you're homebound. If you're a person that just does not get out very much, and you only have access to the plots parcels right around your house and you got to 100 or 150 or something like that and you just can't buy anymore because you can't walk well or something like that, then yeah, I can agree that the saving up for upgrading legendary would be a good a good thing to do. Otherwise, I think that those Atlas bucks are better spent just buying more parcels and strategically moving ahead in the game. Now, I'm not against the artwork. I mean, I'm not against the legendary parcel upgrades. I mean, some pretty cool artwork in this last year, right? And I like that new Jeep coming to me at the end of this month. But I think from a strategy perspective, I'd rather have the 25 parcels versus the one legendary upgrade, so. Mike O is in the house. It says, personally bullish on Atlas Earth. How many years do you realistically see the game lasting? That's a good question, Mike. From everything we've been told and the numbers I've seen, and I did an episode on this here a while back, the game is doing fantastic as far as number of downloads and things like that. And as far as expansion goes, they're as far as I know, they're expanding to one new country per month, and they pretty much hit it. Although the Nordic countries they announced a few months ago, they're still working on, like, I don't think they're fully live in Sweden yet because they just announced the Swedish, the language upgrade, which is needed to be in place to go live. So I think they're making very good progress. As far as like on the back of the business, last I heard was last year they were doing well. So that's just some, assumptions, right? And also from a business perspective, I've seen a bunch of these games that if they weren't doing well, we wouldn't be hearing a lot from the team, and we wouldn't be hearing a lot from, they hired on Annalise to talk to us and give us some news and stuff. We wouldn't be hearing that. They'd be pulling back and kind of trying to drain as much money from the game as possible. They definitely wouldn't be talking about upgrading the whole artwork for the game, the UI and everything like that. So that all goes into answering the questions. I can't tell how long this is going to last. That's why I recommend everybody to do regular, remove your money from the game on a regular basis. And just take it as it goes. I'm playing it. I don't see any reason why it can't last several more years. I think a big turning point is going to be when they go live with this new feed and what it actually does, because I think that they have a big hope that makes this game explode and turn it into something that's not just a buy land game, right? Which, I mean, the game has evolved over the last couple years. Seriously, all the things that are available now. When the game started out a few years ago, all you could do is buy parcels, and then the way the ads are watched has evolved. Different third-party services have been implemented, so you can do more things to earn Atlas bucks, such as play arcade games and travel and do surveys and things like that. Um, so I don't see why it can't last several more years. Obviously, the goal would probably be to last more than several years. But you got to understand that games are games, and once a game gets to a point where it's not making the profit margin that the company wants it to make, then they'll start looking at shutting it down. So I always talk about in my games or in my videos, treat this as a game. Don't treat it as an investment. Write it out, play it as long as you can, and then if it goes down, then you're not out, right? You've just made profit. So I pay the $10 a month for the challenge ladder, um, and I get a very good value out of that. I also do a few bucks, $3 worth of rent to Atlas Buck conversions on a monthly basis to pass my challenges, which that's like $13 a month that I'm reinvesting back into the game. Other than that, I'm pulling everything out. Everything's going to PayPal savings, and I'm earning a little bit of interest rate on it. And I'm in the green. I've been playing for 16 to 17 months, and I'm about $400 in the green, something like that. So I can't complain. I guess my whole answer there is play it like a game and ride it for as long as it'll go. And hopefully it explodes further, but it's already very popular. So I guess that was longer answer than maybe you wanted, but um, Gabrielle's in the house. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Gabrielle says, hey, Bronzy. Russ Miner's in the house. Says hello. I'm just happy about the game not being rug pulled. Yeah, I mean, it's been going for a few years now, right? And this, you know, I've seen. I also cover Web3 things, right? Games, and I've seen rug pulls, and especially in Web3. This isn't Web3, but it's largely um, the few that do rug pulls make the biggest noise, and the ones that are still around years later, still functioning like good games, don't get a whole lot of news, right? So it's the bad boys that get the news, right? So yeah, for those that don't know, a rug pull is one of those things. Um, in reference to a game that takes money up front, a lot of investment up front, and then leaves, and then they shut down, take your money. So I don't think in any way that this is a rug pull. Clint Casey's in the house, says, I'm at 150 parcels and buying badges. I'm at 20 and want to make it to 31 by the end of the month. Good plan. Following Tasty Wallet's plan, same thing I did. If you follow Tasty Wallet's plan, like I did here in the States, you stop at 150 and then you try to get that 15% badge boost by working your way up to 31. I did that whole jump in one day, and it took like 4 hours of driving around. I had saved up a bunch of Atlas bucks, and my wife drove me around just trying to find badges. And this was before the map. So the map, you can plan it out. It should make things a lot easier. Yeah, I was just driving around randomly. Scott Kovac says it was a great day when I got my 10%. Yeah, those badge boost moves up are nice. They're not a huge thing, but they do. More money is better, right? So, and your badge boost is on at all times, whether you're actively boosted or not. So that always helps. G Foster 22 says, I was wondering, should I save my Atlas bucks from Explorer Club and Challenge Ladder? And once 4 months hit, you have enough for about 200 property, avoiding the loss. Well, I firmly believe in the strategy of tier jumping. That's why I talk about it a lot, because everything adds up. Now I had to change my tier jumping strategy somewhat to work with the challenge ladder by parcel challenges because I worked those in. But still, whenever I did that, uh, I wasn't in the losing part of the tier for too long, less than 2 weeks, right? I tried to minimize the time I was losing money, so to speak. Um, so I think that the best value is the $10 challenge ladder subscription. If you can complete at least 70% of it. Yeah. If you can complete at least 70% of it, I'm looking down to make sure my mic's on. And especially if you can complete the whole challenge ladder, getting that LPU definitely makes it the best value. As far as spending your money on Explorer Club, it's a good value compared to, it's a better value for Atlas Bucks instead versus just outright buying Atlas Bucks packs. But it's just a personal decision, as far as if you want to spend that $50 a month. Like I said, you get more Atlas Bucks per US dollar with that Explorer Club subscription than you do with just outright buying Atlas Bucks packs, even if you buy them on the website. So, Annalise says, we have a lot in the pipeline. Stopping some of the game abuses, speeding things up. Yeah, they've been talking about that lately because they've had to remove the purchase parcel or sell parcel feature of the game, which I've talked about in a few videos. They've had to remove that. They said temporarily, but we'll see because people abusing the game. One of these things I talk about on a regular basis is people cheat in any game, right? It's just games where you can stand to make money, whether they're standard or crypto related. People just do anything to abuse. It's a shame. There are people that are cheaters, and there are people who are not cheaters. And usually, the ones that are not cheating have to suffer the consequences of those that do cheat. So, unfortunately, if you're developing a game where people are making money off of it, part of your resources have to be expended towards trying to keep people from not cheating, right? So, and that's unfortunate because if you could spend less time doing that, then you could spend more time actually developing the game, right? Making it better. Brandon says, Metro driver saw me walking yesterday and got a free ride to my closest bus stop in my house. Nice. That's nice of them. The Art of Gaming is here. Welcome. Hey, I'm on my game name channel now. Oh, you changed your name up. Yeah. My fishing has been broken. So much lag. I heard people talking about the lag this morning. In fact, before, I guess, an hour before the show, I noticed I couldn't log on to Atlas Earth for maybe 10 minutes, maybe. And then it was resolved. But then about the same time, people started talking about lag in the mini games. So obviously that's a networking thing going on, and there's so many different connections between you and the actual game that who knows. Like I said, I would start by doing a phone reboot. It could be networking on their side, but I always start with a reboot because it can't hurt. Style and Net says, I agree with Bronze. Golf and bowling, I think, is the easiest, but I do like fishing. Donnie says, I hated Warship, but now I play on an older device and I win a lot more. That's interesting. I dislike Warship as well. I find that I can usually get that first series with the first big shell, and then sometimes I can get the second big shell, but after that, there's just like no hitting it for me. Like if I haven't started winning the game by that second big shell, then I just kind of give up. Lady Sharon says, on the mayorship thing was when I was planning on taking it over. I would have been at least 50 above, but somebody else came along. I think I posted like screenshots. Yeah. take it over with the cushion that I wanted. Unfortunately, it took me to the top of the tier. Oh, I see what you mean. Now I'm going to be buying a bunch of badges. I'll cycle back to that area again in another time. Yeah, I mean it's just part of the game, right? But whenever I go in to take over an area, a lot of times lately I've had to just start working on it, and I don't actually take it over until I have a nice cushion. So I don't go over and take it over with like one parcel. I kind of like to have like a 25 parcel cushion there at least, right? Before I take it over, because I always expect that other person is going to jump back over there and buy some more parcels, right? So preview this as I'd rather stick pins in my eyes than play Warship. I don't know if it's that bad, but it it's frustrating. But some people like it. That's the one that's really pattern based, right? And some people, I just haven't been able to figure out the pattern. Some people are like, oh, it's super easy. You just figure out the pattern. I'm like, well, I can't figure out the pattern, I guess. So Uh, Russ says I'm 4 away from the ladder challenge starting next month, 9.99. I'll be getting both sides of the ladder challenge. Nice. Like I said, that's the best value. I've done the numbers, and to me, that's the best value. If you can complete that challenge, everything you get for that $10 a month is the best value in the game, as far as I can see. And I'd like to take a minute and stop and say thanks for everybody dropping by, and everybody, especially who hung out through all my technical difficulties early on in the stream. Let me know in the comments afterwards what you think of my new setup. If you think I should continue going with this and maybe improving it a little bit more. I'm always trying to improve things, but I'm always a little bit hesitant because whenever I try to do something. Okay, I think I'm back. I just had a microphone problem there for a minute, so let me know if you still can't hear me, if you're seeing me talk and can't hear me. But like I said, just trying to upgrade things. Annalise said, "I just play minimally on Warship as well." I think a lot of people agree. But like I said, we can hope for a rework on it. Preview this says, if it was like traditional Warship, I probably like it. Yeah, I went into it thinking, oh, Warship. I'm an old Navy guy. I'm going to love this. Well, guess what? I hope for a complete rework of this. By the way, it plays now, not for me. I play it if I were around one, but wait for it. I guess I don't understand what you're getting at. Hey, Shaman 15's in the house. Welcome, Shaman. Thanks for dropping by. Says Warship is by far the most painful game. I would have to agree. I don't know. Some people would argue rock, paper, scissors, but Lady Sharon says, I see people are talking about mini games currently. I'm wondering how the structure will change now that they have fixed. We're about to fix the thing with playing on two devices. I'm assuming that what was considered on the unfair side will go away. That's the only thing I can logically think, right? Logically, those people that were just way at the top, and you just wonder how could they have that many wins. Hopefully, those will go away, and we'll have more of a fair competition. That's just what I'm guessing. Slots of Kush is in the house, says good morning. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in this fine world. I appreciate you dropping by and spending time with me. Time is precious. Time is like gold. Lady Sharon says, will we see different leaderboard? Will the pots be less? I'll be interesting to see. It seems like they're moving the challenges around to logic would say to me that previously, since the change, the pots were larger at the beginning of the month when people were doing more mini games to complete the ladder, and then probably lower at towards the end of the month. So from what I'm seeing in the mini game, how they're spreading them out this month, maybe it will be more even across the month. But like I said, I'm not a big mini game player, and I don't keep my eye on those pots. So that's just kind of logic, the way I would think. Donnie S says, Shaman, the former president? Yes, that would be him. Slots of Kush says, I just sit and pray while I play Warship. Arbin says, I have a question about what is the price on selling parcel in other countries? You can no longer sell parcels. That was one of the thing they've been battling over the last couple of weeks, right? The sell parcel feature, which it was not largely used by most people in the game. It was one of those forward-looking things, one of those things that in the future, where if we got into a situation that a lot of the land around us was sold up, then you could resell plots and make a profit off of it. It's just standard land game type thing, right? Well, it had become abused, and players were using the land sell feature, the plot sell feature, to do a number of things. Sell for real life money, also to manipulate rarity, change epic and legendary parcels to different uh, you know have multiple accounts and get legendaries and funnel them all to one account, that kind of thing. So either way, they're working on it. They realized what was happened by looking at the numbers. At one point, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, they raised the price, the minimum price, from 150 to 2,500, which effectively just basically stopped people from selling property. Nobody's going to buy a regular plot for 2,500, right? Well, this week they just completely turned off the ability. And if you still have that ability, that means that you need to upgrade your client because you're behind on the client version. Donnie S asks, how much do you make in a 32-hour boost, Shaman? That's kind of personal financial information, but we'll see. Oh, wow. Shaman says $1,400. Well, thanks for kicking in that info, Shaman. Brandon says, I'm having trouble logging into PayPal with Face ID. Do you know why? I do not. If you're having trouble with PayPal, I would say put in a ticket with their service department. And Annalise says, there's no more parcel sales. We have removed that option. Exactly what I basically just said. Brandon says, I did order a free bird head shaver. I can't wait for it. Well, I still got a little bit of hair up here. I don't have to shave my head just yet. I wish that hair on the top of my head grew as much as my beard does. Preview this says, at Annalise, I liked listing my parcel at max price as didn't really want to sell it, but if people would pay max Atlas bucks, then they could have it. Well, like I said, and a lot of people, not a lot, some people would say that this was not meant to be a thing in the game. Atlas Earth was all just about buying, buying and earning rent. Well, guess what? If they wouldn't have meant that to be part of the game, they wouldn't have developed it and put it into the game to start with, right? But I admit it's something that most people didn't use, and it's very forward looking as far as the future of the game. So I still believe I would like it to come back. Obviously, they're going to have to figure out how to put it back in and not have it be able to be abused. But And I'm assuming they tried several things on the back end in that meantime when it was sitting at 2,500, but they didn't come up with something that met their goals there. So hopefully it'll come back and we'll be able to do it in the future. Mike says Shaman just told us in his video that it is a good investment. Like I said, obviously, the people at the top of the game have treated this as an investment, and I'm more power to you. I hope everything goes well for you as far as the numbers go. I just treat this more as a game and talk about it more as a game because I just don't have that kind of money to throw into the game, and even if I did, I don't know if I would. Not that I have a very good outlook on this game. In fact, this is one of the games I play that has made the most updates and come forward the most as far as game changes and everything. And it's relatively easy to get into, and it's very straightforward. There's no, on the Web3 side of things, I have to talk about converting cryptocurrency and stuff like this. This is, you can just dump it out to PayPal or dump it out to your bank account, right? You can do an ACH transfer right to your bank account. It's just regular money. It's no dealing with crypto. So that's one part I like about it. Slots of Kush says people always find a way to abuse something. Yeah, I mean, even in regular games, there's always somebody that's cheating. And if there's money to be made, there's just a lot more people trying to cheat. Stylin Net says, "Hey Bronze, should I save up for up my Atlas bucks to get the 20% before I go to 220. If you're at 150, I would say make sure you get the 15% and then work on parcels. I think that in Tasty Wallet's guide, it doesn't call for going to 20% until you get in the 650 range, somewhere in there. Let's see. Yeah, 625. So I think at the 625 mark, then he calls for making the badge jump to 20%. But you can do however you like it. But he was just looking at the numbers and what makes sense money wise and value. How much each move is going to increase what you're making. So I would stick with parcels until doing your partial jumps, tier jumps until you get to like 625, and then worry about the 20%. Slots of Kush says I'd grab the 220 first. Just my opinion. If you don't travel a lot, then badges. Yeah, and take this. Temper what I'm saying, because anytime anybody asks questions about traveling, I always default on badges. Okay. So if your statement starts out with, "Hey, I'm going on holiday," or I'm going on vacation, or I'm going on a trip, or in my case, a few weeks ago, it wasn't even vacation or anything. I had to go to the lawyers, and the lawyers was like an hour and a half away. It was still long enough to get out of my normal area and buy enough badges to jump to that 20%. And, I was only like 11 away. So I did that. I took advantage of being out of my normal area. I'm always going to default to that, because until you get to that 101 badges, you're always going to want to make progress with your badges on a monthly basis, right? So, um, Donnie says, I'm thinking about the 50K investment and take over the Netherlands and Germany. But what if they stop Atlas Earth? Then I lose your investment. Yeah. Like I said, even in their white paper, they say treat this as a game, not as an investment. Obviously, you make your personal choices and you hope that you recover from it. Anytime you spend money in the game, it's going to have like if you buy Atlas bucks, or if you buy the Explorer Club, it's just going to have a longer break even time for you to recover your investment, right? That's why I don't treat it as an investment. I keep track of my profit, what I'm making off the game, and I know that I'm not advancing as fast as I could by putting money in the game, but I'm also still in the green, right? I don't have to worry about breaking even because I've already way ahead of even, right? So everybody makes their choice. I don't know if I would put 50,000 in the game. That's all up to you. It would be nice, especially since the game has not been active in your area for a very long time. It would be nice to take over if you can become president over there or prime minister or whatever they're calling it. Especially or mayor of different areas. The more you can take over as the game becomes more popular in your area, you can get a lot more badge income. So I don't know if I put 50,000 into it though. It's a very personal choice. Steve says the Explorer Club sub is well worth it. My first month, I completed all challenges and got the badge and parcel upgrade. All the extra Atlas bucks make it easier to get your jump targets as well. Yeah, I mean it's like spending money in any game, right? It just makes the game easier to progress through. But if you're doing the numbers and you're trying to keep track of breaking even and how you're actually doing in the game, what you're getting out of the game versus what you've spent. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Vern? Um, that's where I'm at, right? So I will concede that the Explorer Club is a better value, definitely, than buying Atlas Buck packs. There's a video I did, and I compared all those. Okay. G Foster 22 says, I have noticed the AMP mission doesn't work in my area. I have my PayPal and Chime link to go to Advance Auto since that's closest, and I don't get credit even though the credit card is linked. Okay, so here's the thing with AMP missions. You need to use the card directly. It cannot be through another service, okay? There cannot be a service between the card and Atlas and what you're buying. So in between, like Apple Pay or Google Pay, or I'm not really familiar with, what'd you say? It was Chime. I'm not familiar with that. But if there's another service in between your credit card number and whatever you're buying, then it's not going to work. It has to be the direct input, you know. So I've had issues, and sometimes that even ends up being an app, because there's a few restaurants that are on the thing that if I use the app, I don't get credit. But if I use the card, walk into the store and use the card directly, I get credit. So anywhere where there's an application in between your credit card and what you're buying, that's going to foul things up. So. And then Annalise brings up another point. It has to be run as a credit card and not a debit card, because this is on the money side of things. Some stores run cards in different fashions. Like you can use a debit card, but it has to be run as a credit to get the credit. A lot of different variables to consider. But like I said, you don't want to have any other service in the middle there, like Apple Pay or something. B5V says season pass is goated and will teach you delayed gratification. I agree. I know I'm way behind in chat, just trying to catch up. Brandon says, I tried Warship for the first time and do not like it. They should consider removing it and replacing it with trivia. They did talk about trivia, but it's been a long time since I heard anything about that. Lady Sharon says, I think it's funny that you had that problem right as you were asking about the setup. Yeah, that's kind of like Murphy's Law, right? Anyway, I think it's fine as long as you can figure out the software. Frosty Frisbee says every mini game will be rebuilt or replaced. Was discussed in the AMA. Yeah, I know, but when's it? It's been discussed for several months, right? So. Slots of Kush says, my subscription always ends on the 14th of each month, but this month will be my last because of the 90 days. Will it continue to the 14th or end on the 90-day mark, which is 3 days away? I would you'd have to contact support about that, I would think. I wouldn't bet on it continuing any past the 14th. Because that would probably be marked by the first time when you started it. But they would be able to give you the direct answer on that. Steve says, how often do the diamonds respawn within Atlas Earth? It's been, I've been out walking, collecting before, and then the game restarted itself and the diamonds had changed places. I can't give you an answer on that, but I do know that when I do the same thing. When I go out, take a walk on my lunch break at work. And if I don't see any diamonds on the map where I'm walking around the parking lot, then I will force close the app and relaunch it. And sometimes there'll be diamonds there. So Time to Win says, who is the best at Warship? That would be not me. Brandon says, will it be against terms of service to screen record ads and upload ads to YouTube? I don't know why you would want to do that. One of the reasons I take my phone off screen when I run ads to do my 20-minute thing is the fact that I don't want ads to be on my, the people that are the companies that are running the ads could come back and say, hey, I need you to take down that video because you included my ad. Obviously they probably wouldn't do that, but I don't want that to ever happen because it would be, there's a lot of rules on what you can broadcast on YouTube and what you can't. So I just err on the side of caution. And that also counts as audio too. You can only play, you can't play the really popular songs, and things like that. So I just err on the side of caution and keep the ads off my show. Except for what YouTube sticks in the middle so I can make a little bit of money. Stylin Net says, it does say 15%, but why I was asking was because I'm at 40, but thanks, Bronze, and Slots of Kush. Yeah, I would just keep working. If you're at 40 already, then I would just keep working on, there's something to be said on continuing to move forward, but keep working on your parcels, but maybe buy that one badge a month or something like that for your, your challenge ladder or something like that. Brandon says, I used to use outside sources like Just Play to buy 110 parcel packs, but quit Just Play because their point system is just so low. I gave up on Just Play. I'm on Atlas Earth only guy now. Pharaoh Silver did a video on this last week. And one of the reasons he said that he's kind of slowed down on the beer money kind of apps coverage is the fact that a lot of those apps, they're really pulled back on what you can earn off of them. It's taken a lot more to earn anything off of them. And I think one of his statements was the fact that he's finding it really hard to recommend any of them, right? Because they've really changed and reeled back what they were paying. So hopefully that doesn't happen on Atlas Earth. Although if you read the terms of service, it's completely possible because the team reserves the right to change any of the numbers involved in the game to basically keep the game going. So up to this point, I don't know if I don't think they've changed any numbers like that as far as what we actually make. And I hope they would let us know when it does happen, though. So, or if it does happen. DJ Dub Stomps in the house says, I'm over 120 badges. Wow. And I'm still trying to find more, just increase. Well, there was a point at the end of the year and at the beginning of this year, end of last year and beginning of this year, they had talked about adding more to the badge system. In other words, adding some more levels, but we have not heard anything about that. And I think that's taken off the roadmap. I haven't heard anything about that lately. Preview this says, I do 99% free to play. Only occasionally, if I complete full ladder, do I get it. Like I said, everybody plays different. Everybody's got a different outlook. Southern Coin Hunters here says, I found out the mayor of our parish, similar to a county. Yeah, I used to live in Louisiana. I used to live in Slidell, right outside New Orleans, for a number of years, like a dozen years. Similar to, lives 4.5 hours away in another state. How can this be? Well, that just means that they came over on a trip and bought enough parcels to become mayor and then drove back. So, you know what that means? You need to take over as mayor. Can't have an out-of-towner being mayor, right? Yeah, it's the same way. A lot of the top end, it doesn't. A lot of people with the map now, you can look at the map and you can see um, where where you would like to take over mayor and make plans, right? And then save up your Atlas bucks and take a trip if you want and go take over. Obviously, a lot of it comes down to you would want to be a mayor of higher populated areas. They're going to yield more badge income, right? But sometimes people take over mayors just for sentimental purposes, right? So. In fact, just back on the living in outside New Orleans for a number of years, I was feeling I wanted some bread pudding yesterday. So and my daughter went to the store and bought a couple loaves of bread, and I made a big pan of bread pudding last night for dinner or for dessert. It's one of those things you can't get up here up north. I moved up into the Philadelphia area. You can't get a good catfish po' boy or get good fried catfish or fried oysters or anything around here. About the closest I can get is a fried cod sandwich, which is good, but it's not the same as a good catfish po' boy, right? Now I'm getting myself hungry. Got me thinking about New Orleans. Style and Net says, wait, I'm a little confused about the AMP missions now. I'm sorry that I'm going to ask you to talk more about it, maybe. Lady Sharon says, oh no, that's interesting about the AMP program. I didn't know that. I admit I actually don't really know how to use Apple Pay or Google Pay, and it's easier for me to use the card directly. Yeah, it just really comes down to you've got your credit card. It's registered with Atlas Earth. That needs to be the purchase. That needs to be what's paying for the purchase. Now, if you put something in the middle, like Apple Pay or Google Pay or something like that, that credit goes into this service, and then this service does the purchase on this end. So if you have like I use Apple, if I have Apple Pay set up and I buy something with Apple Pay, on the end, the AMP program is not seeing that purchase because it's not seeing the credit card making the purchase. It's seeing Apple Pay make the purchase. I can't really explain it any much better than that. I would say if you're having a problem, first of all, if you make a purchase, always get the receipt because you can always put a ticket in a week after. They usually ask for a week. What I found with the program is that if you don't get the credit immediately within a few minutes, then you're just not going to get it. Keep the receipt. Always keep the receipt. Take a picture of it with your phone. You've got it. If you haven't got credit for it in a week, put in a ticket. And then you usually should get it within 2 business days, or at least that's what I found. Lady Sharon says Chime is an online bank. I'm surprised you haven't seen the 1,000,001 commercials. Yeah, I've seen the commercials. I just don't. I don't watch most of the commercials. I just haven't looked into Chime. I've been using Navy Federal Credit Union since I was in the Navy, and that's more years than I care to count. So. Noldori says worship drops in 2 columns for 5 shells each. Then every 5 shells, one of the columns changes, so only 2 columns are dropping at a time. Well, thanks for helping. That doesn't really clear it up for me, though. I have noticed there's a pattern. I just haven't been able. I guess some people's brains are better at that kind of thing. I guess it's about the best I can say. Lady Sharon says, is Pharaoh Silver beer money on? Yeah, Pharaoh Silver is beer money. He also has a separate YouTube channel called Just Pharaoh Silver, where he just does like personal talking about what he's doing and everything. But yeah, he's Beer Money channel. I actually wanted to look into a lot of those play games. I'm on Misplay and wanted a better alternative, but it's I have not done a lot of them, but I've watched several of his videos, his coverage of them, and it seems like those kind of they're not games; they're just how to make money. The apps were doing really well about 2 years ago or so when they first came out. And then gradually over time, the apps have scaled back what they actually pay out and or require a lot more to get that done. In other words, maybe there was a game that paid out $10, let's say, and it required you to get to level 100. Now it might pay out $10, but it requires you to get to level 1,000, which a lot of cases we see these games in the arcade, right? Where you look at the arcade progress, the first few levels, pretty doable. But when you get to the top, you're like, hey, this game can pay out 2,000. Yeah, but you figure out how long it would take to get to that final reward, and it's not possible to make it in 90 days. So they put that lure there for you, but it's just not really possible. Even, unless you sat there and played played the game in the arcade 24/7, which nobody can, right? Southern Coin Hunter says, "Do you miss the seafood?" I definitely do. I decidedly do. I decidedly miss the catfish. I'm not big on oysters, but I do like a good oyster po' boy from time to time. But I love the catfish. Down there, there was a great restaurant in Slidell that we used to go to, and out on the lake where they make the paper thin catfish. Oh, now you got me hungry, man. Donnie says, I need to go. See y'all next week. Yeah, we are at 2:00. So that's a little bit over an hour. Brandon says, I changed my YouTube profile pic. How do you like it? 2 energy drinks. I'm sporting an energy drink today instead of coffee. Sparkling ice with caffeine. It does not have a lot of sugar in it. It's only 5 calories. Watch out for all that sugar, man. DJ Dubstomp says, I'm the mayor of Dothan, Alabama, and Houston County, where 95% of Dothan lives. It all comes down to high population area, I think. Southern Coin Hunter says, always use a debit card as credit card purchase, safer and prevents ID theft. Yes, that's a good point. And Dothan has Interstate 231 and Hot State Highway 431. Yeah. Other than having a high population density, having throughput, people coming, an interstate, a highway where there's a lot of people driving through and they can grab parcels and diamonds and stuff. Preview this says, I was lucky on Misplay. I got Atlas Earth, so it was lucky. That's how you discovered Atlas Earth. Lady Sharon says, interesting as I'm seeing more and more ads for these services. Like there's all of a sudden a lot of competition. There are, but you've just really got to look at how much time you're using it and how much you're getting out of it. Is it worth your time? That kind of thing, right? Lady Sharon says, I've got to go. Some friends just texted on the way to our anime Sunday that they got into an accident. I actually drive right by there, so I'm going to be headed out. Well, good luck. Hopefully they didn't get hurt. See you next week. Okay, well, we've been going for more than an hour, and the conversation has kind of slowed down. I do want to thank everybody for dropping by and humoring me through my getting up and running, streaming with this new program. We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel on Sunday at noon. So please join me then. Until then, I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And hey, I'll see you